Radio announcers are people just like you and I. However, some of them become part of our daily lives. They become part of our routine. We identify with them. And with some of them, we build special bonds. Tonight's guest is no longer broadcasting from Montreal. She is, however, broadcasting from Western Canada. However, she will always be remembered for the legacy that she left behind in Montreal. She will always be Montreal radio's sweetheart. Heather?
Hi, I'm Heather Backman, and I'm the next guest on Rob's Inner Circle. So don't go anywhere. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rob's Inner Circle, broadcasting live on my personal Facebook page, the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel, and on the Rob's Inner Circle Twitch account. Thank you to everybody for tuning in to what is going to be an absolutely delightful evening. The usual shout out goes out to my good friend and producer of Rob's Inner Circle, Miss Jenny Duhane. And another shout out to my other good friend, the podcast techie here in Rob's Inner Circle, Patty Saragosa. Thank you, girls, for being there, for making this show as great as it is. We want to give a shout out to the Daily Struggles sitcom show, which is now available on the Rise Up TV channel on Roku. And this as of last Friday. So, folks, you want to go on to Roku, go watch this amazing show. You get to see amazing actors in there. You're going to see why when you see. It's very funny, very creative. You guys don't want to miss this show. So you guys can download the Rise Up. Actually, it's not the Rise Up. It's the Roku app on your smartphones. Or you can get yourself the Roku stick on Amazon for as little as $30. We want to give our congratulations to Mr. Michael Ankers. He started his new show called Awesome Autism. And you can catch his show on the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel under the playlist, which is identified as Awesome Autism. We also want to give a shout out to our good friend, Esther Brzezinski, who started her own podcast called Esther's Breeze. Congratulations, Esther. It's an amazing podcast. You're doing a great job, and you folks could go on to Bobby Short Shorts on the playlist called Esther's Breeze, and you can go watch all of her past podcasts. And, of course, we want to remind you that our merch is available, our merch for Daily Struggles and Rob's Inner Circle. And this is thanks to our collaborative effort we have with our good friend, Vinny the Hat Gargano, baptized that way by Ed Bird last week on our show. An absolutely hilarious name. Vinny the Hat Gargano, that happens to be Vincent Gargano. And we have all our merch on his store. You can go on the 514brandingcode.com site, and you can get our collectibles on there, quality prices, quality items. We invite you to go on to Bobby's Short Shorts and subscribe to the channel and click onto all of the various playlists. You want to give us some thumbs up. You want to give us some great comments. Subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, because you will be the first to know every time there's a new production coming out. Well, folks, it's almost showtime, but we got to go through our weekly ritual. And this is the moment when we sit back, we relax, let out the steam. Let out all the stress. Kick your feet up on the corner of a table. Get your wine glass ready, because it's party time tonight, guys. You guys ready? Yeah? Okay, then. Let's take it away. It's showtime. Let's get it on. It is time to bring on our guest this evening. She is a lady who needs no introduction. She's a Montrealer. She left our city to go on to other adventures. but she's still remembered today as one of Montreal's greatest radio broadcasters ever. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, coming to you by way of Victoria, BC, Canada, Heather Backman. Heather.
You're too kind, Robert. That introduction.
Oh my God. Such an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Wow. Hey, you look absolutely splendid, Heather.
I was up early. I took a nap. It's like a bit of a mess, but we're making it work.
I actually tuned into your radio station this morning and it got me going. And you know what? It's your fault, Heather. It's your fault. You're going to have to assume the consequences. I'm in a fantastic mood and it's all because of you, okay?
What?
You're going to have to live with that. I'm in a good mood and it's all your fault.
You know what? I think I'll be able to sleep tonight knowing that. So thank you.
Heather, so tell us a little bit, how you been keeping busy through these hard times?
You know what? I've been working every day. So it's pretty busy. We're busier than ever.
Okay, so Heather, okay, let's not waste any time. We have a lot of eager fans out there. Folks, don't be shy. If you have any questions for Heather, you want to...
I'm ready.
Hey, hang on, Heather, hang on. We're going to do this together.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where are you going, Heather?
Okay.
Heather, to your health, to your success, and to all of the best of luck in all your endeavors. Cheers to you, Heather.
Cheers to Rob's Inner Circle.
Yay. Let's try not to make a mess over here. Okay, Heather. So as I was saying, you're originally from Montreal.
I am, yeah.
Okay. So what was it like growing up in that Jewish family? Because Jewish families and Italian families have a lot in common. So what is it that families from a Jewish side and Italian side have in common?
It was loud. Very, very loud. It was very chaotic. Always a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, a lot of love. Not as much food as I would have liked, but food. Where did there you were? I didn't see you anymore.
Wow. So Heather, you also have ties to Los Angeles.
Yeah. So I was born in Montreal, and when I was 14, my family said, "You know what? That's it. It's cold. We're out of here." My mom has a lot of family in LA. So, and she's actually American. So they said, "Come, we'll sponsor you." And we got our green cards and off we went.
So it's that easy to get to LA? All you need is like a mother or something who's American?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. It's a little bit more complicated. I have a mother who's Italian.
That's not going to help you get to LA. You can get a lot of good
food. So Heather, tell us, so you moved from Montreal. You ended up in LA, and then I believe you studied down there in LA to get into the radio business.
Yeah, so I went to Cal State University Northridge. I studied communications there. I knew I wanted to get into radio, so I started doing some public radio while in university. And the guy in charge of the radio station, basically, he taught me and he helped me make a demo tape. And so when I graduated university, I sent it out. I mailed it out. I got envelopes and labels, the old school way. Mailed it out and mailed it to a place called Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I got a message back, an email back, said, "Hey, you know what? You don't sound bad. If you want to move here, I'll put you on the air." So
wow. And Heather, by the way, you don't sound bad at all. As a matter of fact, you sound excellent.
Not back then.
And you're very lucky because you had a lot of support from your family going into this business, because I know a lot of people who don't support, their children to get in some kind of industries, but you had your dad who was absolutely supportive. Tell us how.
It didn't start off that way. When I first said, "Hey, Dad, I want to get into radio," he said, "No, that's stupid. You're not doing that. You work for the city of LA, you have a good pension, you stay there, you'll be fine." I said, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm getting into radio." And he said, "No, you're not." And then I had my first show in college, and it was at 3 a.m. It was 3 to 5 a.m. And so he drove around to find the signal, because it was a very weak signal. And he heard it one time and he said, "Okay, I support you." That's all. That's all he needed.
Wow. So that one time was enough to convince your dad.
That was it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And how about as you were growing up in Montreal and also in LA, who were the people who were inspiring you at the time? It could have been maybe an actress, it could have been a radio personality. Who are the people you identified with?
I wanted to get into radio because I watched Good Morning Vietnam when I was 8 or 10 or something. And I just found it so fascinating. And I remember watching it and thinking, I want to do that. I want to be the anonymous voice and personality that just comes and makes your day better. So that, and then, listening to growing up, my dad would make me listen to Howard Stern as a
Oh,
kid.
wow.
Nothing this is appropriate, but I got really into him.
Wow. Okay. So you're in LA. Yeah, you have your aspirations. You listen to Howard Stern. He must have influenced you somehow in your style.
You know what? I loved how he did things. It's funny because I interned for Ryan Seacrest back in the day when I was in university. I saw how he did things, and everything was very packaged very nicely. Everything was done ahead, and nothing was live. And he's very good at what he does. But I thought, this is just not what I want to do. This doesn't seem fun. This is not radio to me. And then you listen to Howard Stern, and it's the complete opposite of that. You never knew what was going to happen, and everything was kind of on the fly, kind of like working with Terry Dimonte. And that's
Okay, so you traveled around a little bit, but we're going to have a chance to get into that. And folks, once again, if you have any questions for Heather, don't hesitate. Heather's going to be more than glad to interact with you.
open book.
There you go. You see, when I said up close and personal, I meant it.
Mm-hmm.
Heather, so you travel around a little bit. Like I said, we're going to get to that. You end up in Montreal, but you didn't stop at CHOM right away. You had other stations you worked on before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, when I first got to Montreal, I had left my job in Mississippi. And I said, you know what, I'm moving to Montreal. I didn't have a job, but I had reached out to Mark Bergman at the time, who was running Mix 96. And I said, hey, I'm going to be in town. So if you have a job part-time or fill in or something, let me know. And he said, okay, well, when you get here, let me know. So I did. And but he wasn't the first to put me on the air, actually. CHOM put me on the air for about 3 weekends. And I thought, oh, amazing. I'm going to get to work at CHOM. Like, this is the dream, And next thing I knew, I got an email from Mark Bergman, and he said, you know what? You're going to be on Mix 96 all summer. The schedule is done. Don't suck. I said, okay.
No pressure at all, huh?
I won't.
So you started off on the beat, then you ended up a little bit on CHOM.
No, the beat was later.
Oh, okay.
So, you know what? You're right. I did. I interviewed at the beat as well, but it was Q92 back then.
Yeah, Q92. That's right. Yes.
So I did interview with them as well when I first got to Montreal, and I ended up just sticking with Astral. So with Mix 96 and later CHOM.
Okay, so you end up at CHOM, but we have a little clip that we prepared over here. And we're going to be showing. Is this when you were about to come on the show with Terry? This was the interview you had with Mike Cohen, right?
We had just started together.
Okay, so we're going to be showing you a little clip, folks, and just to show you how everything started off for Heather and Terry on the Terry Dimonte and Heather Backman show. Heather B, as she was known back then. Yeah. So, guys, here's the clip.
You know what? I always knew I'd end up back here. I just did. I had that feeling that they're gonna call me back one day, and it's gonna be a job that I'm not gonna be able to refuse, and that's exactly what happened.
So just tell me, final question: How have you enjoyed it so far? Besides waking up really at an ungodly hour in the morning.
Yeah, that part's awful.
Be nice.
Terry is fantastic for somebody. I know so many people that do mornings, and their hosts have huge egos, and they're jerks, and you can hear them screaming down the hall at each other, and I thought, I'm a little concerned. The guy's been in the business 30 years. He's a legend. He's a vet. I don't know what I'm going to get. And what sealed the deal for me was in our interview, he was just so humble and nervous to be back on the air here where he's been forever, and I thought, now that's a guy that I want to work with and that I'm going to learn from, so...
All right, well, thank you very much, and both of you, best of luck.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.
Well, there you have it. That's the clip, like you said, when you were starting off at CHOM. When you go back and think of this, I believe that was 2012.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 years ago almost.
Am I right in saying that those were the best years of your life in terms of radio?
Um, Definitely one of my highlights. I've had such different chapters and I love them all for very different reasons. I mean, listen, if I could go back and work with Terry today, I would. We had the best time together, and working in Montreal is like no other city, but every chapter has been special.
Okay, so you're on the radio, you're working with Terry Dimonte. First of all, like you were saying, it wasn't, you had to, there was a certain, kind of adaptation that you had to go through. It wasn't easy,
For
right?
sure. No, there was growing pains for sure. But it's like any relationship, like it's you don't know each other. Basically, I see morning radio like it's an arranged marriage. You're two strangers that they put together, the powers that be, and you have maybe a few conversations and whatnot, and you think, yeah, okay, I get it. This could work. But then you're shoved in a room together early in the morning, and you just have to gel and make a show, So,
Okay, so arranged marriages do work after all.
well, yeah, I guess
Well,
they do.
in some
I guess
cases.
they do. I
In
guess,
some cases.
yeah,
Okay, so you were at a radio station in Cleveland. You left
that's
Cleveland
right. Yeah,
and you came to Montreal, and I would believe it was over a weekend. You were supposed to meet with Terry.
right.
So can
Yeah,
you recount how that came about?
yeah. So I was working in Montreal originally. I was doing middays on Virgin, and then afternoons came open, and I didn't get it, so I was mad. And I started so I started looking around for just a better job, elsewhere. And because I'm a dual citizen, I bounce back and forth a lot over the border. It's like I never stay in one country. And I saw a job afternoons in Cleveland. I got the job. I left, and I told them. I told Martin Spalding at the time. I said, "Look, I'm going, and if you don't call me back again, unless it's for a morning show." 10 months into my job in Cleveland, which I loved, by the way. I loved the job. I loved my boss. I loved the city. I was having a great time. I get an email from Martin Spalding, and he said, "Hey, could you come and meet somebody? We want you to meet somebody." And he didn't say who. It was very hush hush at the time. And I said, "No, I don't think so. I'm good." He said, "Please." I said, "Fine, but it has to be on a weekend. I can't tell my current employer. I can't take any time off, but I'll come and do that." So I ended up doing that. I met with Martin. I met with Andre Lallier, who was our program director at the time. Amazing man. We miss every day. He passed away a while back. And Terry, I was supposed to have an interview with Terry, and he just didn't show up. I was only there for a weekend. It's like, I said, "Martin, you know what? This doesn't look good. I am not taking this job." And I ended up meeting Terry. We were staying at the same hotel downtown on the Sunday that I was flying out. And I guess, I don't know, I think he was checking out of the hotel. We met in the coffee shop, like by accident. I said, "Terry, we're supposed to meet, because I have an interview with you." And he sat down, and we ended up having a lovely conversation, and just, that pretty much sealed it for me.
Okay, so when you had the conversation with Terry, you said, "This is the guy I want to be working with."
Yeah.
What is the character trait about Terry that is most that sticks out at you the most? Because I know he's a generous guy. He's giving.
Yes. Yeah.
Besides that, what's the character trait that you say makes Terry stand out?
Well, I mean, like, he's just for a man of his stature, he's an extremely humble man. And he said in our interview, he said, "I don't care who the light shines on, because when the light shines on one of us, it shines on all of us." And right there, that just sold it for me.
Okay. So when you started off at CHOM, you were saying that you started off a little bit slowly. It was like
A little
kind of
rocky.
timid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't too easy.
Well, I'm coming in. He didn't know that I'd ever worked in Montreal, and most people didn't know I was from Montreal. So I would get heinous messages from people like, "Go back to where you came from, you American." Here's where I came from, the Jewish general. Yeah, so that was always funny, but and also hurt my feelings. Thank you very much. But he was, to try to carve out a spot in a show that's Terry's was tough, and he's never worked with anyone like me. He worked with Ted for years and Patty, and he knew his people, and I was new for him and he was new for me, and so it took about 6 months, I would say,
Before you got comfortable, eh?
before we got comfortable with each other.
Okay.
But to his credit, he took me to breakfast and he said, "Do you like me?" I said, "Yeah, of course." He said, "Well, I like you too, and I want this to work." And he said, "You say the word hate a lot." I said, "Well, yeah, but I don't really hate it. I just say that." And it took him a minute, and we had a nice conversation, and it was it was June, I think, and maybe sometime in the summer. And then he went away, and I went away, and when we got back together after like a month, it was like night and day, and he ended to me, and I learned how to work with him, and it was just, that was it.
So it just clicked very well.
Yeah.
So, okay, Heather, having the show, because you were on with Terry from 5:30 in the morning to 10.
Yeah.
Now, 5:30 in the morning, that's no duck walk.
No,
I mean,
no.
You're up, what, at
Sure
3:30?
ain't.
Are you up at 3:30 in the morning to be on the show?
Well, my first 4.
Okay, 4:00.
Yeah.
Okay, so what a lot of people probably don't realize is that you have a morning show at 5:30. You don't just show up at 5:25 and, hey, let's go, let's get this going.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of preparation.
Yeah, well, you're always preparing. I have notes in my phone that just say prep, things you observe, things you see, things you experience, articles that you see. You're always working. Your mind's always working and thinking about the next show. So the morning is like reading the news of the day and the things that are happening that day. But I didn't ever know what Terry was going to talk about, so I just had to do my best to prepare as best I could, and then see what was going to be thrown at me. So that was fun.
They also had, and I don't know if he's still there, but he had the legendary Esteban, who was producing the show.
He's still there, and that show wouldn't run without him.
Because Terry, in spite of him, in spite of Esteban wanting to participate, he's like thrown into the lions. Then he's like, he gets Esteban to participate.
And Esteban doesn't want to participate. He doesn't want to be on the air. He is not a person he wants to. He's amazing at what he does, and he does everything behind the scenes, and he keeps the ball rolling, and he keeps us in line. But he's not an on-air person. He doesn't enjoy it.
Okay, and how is it set up? In the studio, because we don't get to see what's going on. It's not like a podcast that we have going right here. It's like
and we like it like that.
It's behind the scenes. Yeah, you can go in with your hair knot, then nobody's going to know. How are you set up in the studio? What is it? A round table? Is everybody facing each other? You have headphones?
Yeah.
How's it set up exactly?
Well, Esteban would be behind this big board, so he can push all the buttons and do all the important things. And then Terry and I were kind of across from each other. We each had a computer. Terry had a phone. I had an editing system to edit calls or whatever, and then we could all three see each other.
Okay, so you were on a show for 5 years, and then you were like getting comfortable. You're saying, all right, I'm going to be here. Like you probably were thinking of another 5-10 years, but then all of a sudden, that's not exactly how it worked out.
No, like radio, you never know. But we celebrated our 5-year anniversary. We had a big party. We, CTV showed up, and we had it catered by PMG Group, and we had comics, and it was a whole to do. We had a great time. And 2 weeks later, we did the show. It was a Monday, January 17th. I'll never forget it. They said, hey, we want to talk to you. And I followed, at the time it was Pete Card, who is the assistant program director, up some stairs. I thought, what did I do this time? Is it something I posted? I don't know. Into a room where there was a woman sitting, and he says, we're eliminating your position. That's it. I laughed at first. I said, you're doing what? He said, yeah, we're eliminating your position. I said, I honestly, I don't know what to say, because I know this happens in radio all the time, but it's never happened to me. And I've been in radio a long time at this point. Yeah, so that was it.
So I guess you never saw that coming.
I did. I saw something coming. I did.
Okay.
I thought, I don't know. My gut's pretty good. And there were some things that I noticed. And I said, hey, Terry, this seems off. Things seem weird to me. And he said, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Because we had a good show together. So why would he think?
Okay. So Bell Media took over Astral at that moment, right?
No, they had already taken over. So there had already been rounds of cuts.
Okay. You were seeing cuts all over the place. And
yeah,
that could have been also a little indicator to you as well that who knows?
Sure. For sure. Terry had a big enough show with the contributors, and we had Trudy Mason on news, and we had entertainment, and we had this and we had that, and I thought they're gonna say we don't need her. That's what they did.
And I'm sure, like it goes to say, I mean, you must have taken that really hard, eh?
Yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't the best day. No, when the rug is pulled out from under you like that, like how do you take that? It's just shocking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you also stay in touch with your buddies that you've you made friends with people over the years here in Montreal. You stay in touch with most of your buddies on the radio.
A lot of them, yeah. Yeah, the time difference is a little hard, so we don't get to talk as much as we want, but we do some texting, and we had a nice radio family in Montreal. It's small. The Anglo community radio is small.
Okay. You're such a great cook that you wanted to participate in the what is the Food Network?
Yeah, I have an air fryer, and that's it. That's all I know. And I had an agent at the time in Montreal who said, you want to audition? I said, okay, but I really don't think I'm a good fit.
Okay. Well, Heather, folks, we have a clip over here that Heather put together. Are we still okay to play it?
Sure, you can.
Okay. I don't want to get in trouble here, Heather. You sure? Huh?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did ask you before anyway. Okay,
yeah.
Folks, here's the clip. This was your actual audition, wasn't it?
It was. I did not get the job.
She did not get the job, but hey, she did very well. And you're going to recognize some familiar radio faces here in this little clip.
Hi, my name is Heather Backman. I live in Montreal, Quebec, and my agent is Kim Bancourt. To be honest with you, when Kim asked me to audition for this, I said, do you need to know how to cook? Because I don't. I can make things. I get by. What I'm best at is actually dating chefs. So I have picked up a couple things along the way, and the reason I'd be perfect for your show is because I love food, the way it smells, the way it looks. It is a glorious thing. Winter is the perfect time for comfort food. Let's go find out what hers is. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine.
Don't be creeped out. I'm filming for a show that I'm doing.
Okay.
Can you just tell me what your favorite comfort food is?
My favorite comfort food?
Yes.
Mac and cheese.
I love mac and cheese.
Yes.
From home, or do you like to get it out at a restaurant?
Out of home, in home, all good to me.
Are we talking the
cheese?
KD, the box?
Sure, okay.
The spirals?
In a pinch.
Okay, mac and cheese it is. Now, I think it's time to go to dinner. My favorite recipe I've ever made is a little something called Cheeto Chicken. I'm talking those uncomfortably bright orange Cheetos that come in a bag with Cheetah on them. All you need is chicken, a couple of eggs, salt and pepper, and Cheetos. You're gonna use them like breadcrumbs, so mash them up really well. I suggest using a food processor. Take your chicken, dip them in egg, salt and pepper to taste, coat your chicken with the cheesy Cheeto deliciousness, bake, and voila, your life will be changed.
Heather, I'm inspired. I'm
You know what?
inspired.
I am actually appalled that I didn't get that job now that I watched that again.
Well, you know what? We're airing it tonight. Maybe they're gonna, see the
Rethink?
show and reconsider if they do
Yeah.
another show.
Yeah.
So the whole idea again was to go into a cooking show, and you would have been ready. Is that exactly what you would have done in the cooking show? Some what do you call it, mac and cheese?
With the Cheeto chicken?
The Cheeto
Sure.
Chicken.
Yeah. That would have been the first and last episode. All I know.
Wow. Okay, so you're at CHOM FM. You got the bad news, but hey, you got to move on,
Yep.
right?
You
So
gotta move
you're
on.
moving on. All right. So
Yeah,
after
yeah.
you left CHOM,
Mhm.
what happened? Where did you go?
Well, then I got a call from the beat, and they said, "Hey, listen, you know what? We're gonna need somebody to fill in for the summer, so please come and do that." So I said, "Sure." So I went over there, went across the street, got trained, and I worked there through August of that year.
Okay, so you traveled through many North American cities. There's only maybe 2 cities they haven't done in North America. So you might want to consider opening up a travel agency.
Yeah.
Of all the places you went to, all the radio stations you went to, I'm sure there are some that left some pretty good memories. Which city and which station combined would you say was among your best experiences in the radio business?
Oh, it's so hard because all of them, they, like I said earlier, they've all been very special to me. Chattanooga, Tennessee was particularly special because it was my first. I left home, I left LA, I drove across country with my dad, but he left me there. So I was by myself in a city I didn't know anybody for a part-time job. It was 6 hours a week from midnight to 3 in the morning, Fridays and Saturday nights. That's all he gave me. At $7 an hour, so I had to get a restaurant job. But I made so many friends that I talked to this day. That was almost 20 years ago. And it was just such an experience.
Okay, through all of the radio stations, The Beat, Q92, Virgin, Mix 96, CHOM FM, and all of the other stations you worked on, what would you consider your most memorable moment on radio? I know you must have thousands of them, but one that really sticks out.
When I was working in Jackson, Mississippi, I was working at a classic rock station. I used to get this woman that would call that would say, "Hey, can you give a shout out to my brother? He's in Iraq, and I copy your show on tapes and mail it, and his whole platoon, they're a fan of yours. So if you can give them a shout out, that'd be great." And I thought, oh my God, I am Good Morning Vietnam. And then when he came back, he made it back. And I remember I never got to meet him, but I ended up being able to send him a bunch of stuff from the radio station. But that was exactly why I got into it in the first place. And just so cool.
Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah.
Wow. So you studied some film as well. You went into the film business. You said there were things that interested you in the business.
No, I took film classes because I took communications at Cal State Northridge, and I had to take certain classes. So some of them were film, some of them were law classes. It was pretty intense. It wasn't what I expected.
Okay, and right now you're at Jack Radio 103.1.
Yeah.
And you've been there for a little while, right?
Yeah, almost. It'll be 2 years in August.
Okay. And what kind of radio station is it? Is it like a variety station, or is it like mainly rock, mainly pop?
Mainly rock, but we'll throw in, Prince and Madonna and Bruno Mars. It's pretty eclectic. It's cool though. It's fun.
Remember what I told you? I tuned in this morning, and with the songs that were playing, it's like I was just like on a high. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight because I'm just like so wired up. Heather,
It has that effect on people.
Heather, this calls for a celebration. Heather,
Okay.
where's that glass of wine of yours?
Well, I've been waiting for you.
There you go, Heather. Cheers. Bling.
I started again without you.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
slow,
gee.
Robert. You're slow.
Oh, hang on. Huh? Let's do that again.
Mhm.
There you go.
There we go.
So on Jack Radio, you started off originally with a co-host, and you're still announcing the co-host, but you're alone right now.
We recently just changed that today, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's David Larson, who I adore. I couldn't ask for a better partner. He's such an amazing, kind man, and he's suffering and he's fighting an illness right now. So he hasn't been able to work in almost 6 months. So I've been doing the show alone, and yeah, it's not what we planned, and I miss him every day, but the show must go on.
Okay. So there's no Esteban where you're at Jack right
No,
now.
No, it's all me.
So you're
all
doing this,
together, all the time.
so you're doing this like, all by yourself.
Yeah.
And that must be quite difficult because you got to concentrate on what you sing on the radio, and you got to like play the records. You hit the wrong buttons once in a while.
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah. I'm the worst behind that board. That is not my strong suit. I'll tell you that much. I hit the wrong things.
Oh my God. But as long as you don't get in trouble with it, right?
Well, there's nobody there at this point to get me in trouble. So.
Are you alone in that island?
Pretty much. I'm like Gilligan right now.
and you're saying that you're living on the Victoria Island right now.
Vancouver Island, yeah.
Okay, and to get off the island is a challenge. How is it? I don't know. You want to get off. You want to go to Vancouver, or want to go to whichever neighboring city. How do you get off? You have like a seaplane. You got a boat, ferry. How do you do it?
You swim.
You swim.
There's a ferry. You can take your car or not. There's a seaplane and there's a helijet, like a helicopter situation.
And how is the service like? What is it? Every 2 hours? Every 3 hours?
There's a lot, but I mean, it gets expensive. If you want to take a plane or a helicopter, it's pretty pricey. If you want to take your car, it gets expensive too on the ferry.
Okay.
But it's possible. It's not convenient.
You're saying you have also a family member helping you out on your show who's a sort of producer.
My sister Barbara, I'm calling her my producer. Yeah, she's always because I'm always looking for content or looking for people to call in. Being alone on Jack in the mornings, I'm tired of my own voice most of the time, so she'll text me.
So people call in the radio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. I may give you a call then.
Please do. 384-1031. And so she'll say, "Oh, I got so and so. I got so and so. How about so and so? You want so and so? Here's their number. They're available between this time and this time." So I said, "Barbara, you're like my producer."
Is there any? You know what? I'm just throwing this out there. You think Barbara may end up on the radio with you as a co-host? Barbara, you listening?
I don't think she's got her own career, so I.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because as a producer, start off as a producer, and then eventually, they all end up on the radio somehow.
Somehow, some way.
What are
I use her a lot, though. I call her a lot, so she is on. She is on actually quite often on the morning with me.
Okay, she's on the phone with you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being on the radio looks glamorous. It looks like fun. I'm sure it is. But what are some of the downsides of being on the radio? Like, I'll give you an example. After 5 hours, you probably don't have a voice anymore if you're on a talk show, right?
I can't even imagine doing a talk show. At first, I thought that's what I wanted to do. I said, "Oh, I'll do music, and then I'll do a music morning show, and then I'll seg into talk radio." And after I got into mornings on the music side, I thought, "No way! I need a break between songs. I got things to do and things to prepare." It's too much. I can't imagine.
So you're used to co-hosting. Hey, look at that. We have someone from Los Angeles, Mr. Raul, who's a big
Hi,
fan of Rob's Inner Circle here. Actually, I've spotted some people from England, from
Thanks, Rose.
Australia. How did
Cool.
you manage to get fans from Australia to tune in, Heather? How did you do that?
Well, wouldn't you?
Wow,
like to
you're
know?
amazing.
I don't know. I've done a lot of shows elsewhere.
Wow.
And I was doing a show in the UK at one point for an internet radio station. So I get messages from all over sometimes.
Okay, so as I was saying, you've done some shows as a co-host, and now you're on a solo project. Which of the two you prefer? You prefer having a co-host?
Well, I started solo before Terry. So I did 10 years solo, and then I started working with Terry, which was a huge adjustment working with a partner because I was no longer in charge or in control of anything happening, So I had to relinquish and I was along for the ride. So I don't know, depending on the co-host. If we get along and it's amazing, then I prefer to have a co-host. If we don't, then I prefer to be alone.
Okay, we have a question for you coming all the way from the United Kingdom, England. Our friend Michael Anchors. So Heather, he has a question for you.
Okay.
He's an aspiring singer. He would love to be interviewed on radio. Do you have any advice on how to be interviewed?
Well, that is tough. We do get inundated with that quite a bit. You just got to reach out. You got to reach out to radio stations and kind of hope for the best.
Hey, we have another fan here from Los Angeles, Phyllis Conway. Is she somehow related to you, or is she a friend?
Well, yeah, she's like a surrogate mom to me. Phyllis, actually, when I lost my job in Montreal and I went home with nothing to figure out my life, Phyllis took me in and I lived with Phyllis. And her daughter, Michelle, is a close friend of mine. And she gave me work as a dog walker. It was a rough time.
Wow. So we're just about ready to bring in a special guest who's going to join us on the show, a huge supporter of Heather's. But do people have any other questions for Heather here? Because time is going by fast over here. So if you have any questions, this is the time to ask Heather questions. So Heather, what kind of music you like? Rock, disco?
Everything. Except for maybe techno, but I'm open to it all.
Techno is an annoyance, huh?
Oh, God, yeah.
I don't know how anybody can like that.
Well, I mean, neither, really.
Wow. And besides doing some radio, you do some voice work, I understand, right?
Yeah, I do some Spotify commercials actually for the US and just here and there. I'm not going to pay the bills with it, but it's fun.
And you're saying that you feel comfortable on the radio, but when it comes to these events where you have to do some emceeing or acting, it's like,
Oh, I hate them.
Oh, no?
No.
You're not at ease doing an MC spot?
No, you know what? Had I known that emceeing was a big part of radio in the first place, I never would have gotten into it. I have such stage fright. I don't like to be in front of people. I love being in the studio where nobody can see who I am and I'm an anonymous personality.
Well, you know what? You're doing a fantastic job tonight because you know how many millions of people are watching you? It's all over the world, Heather.
I don't want to think about it.
Heather, we're ready to bring in our special guest,
Okay.
a big supporter of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring on Heather's sister who participates with her on the radio station, and she's coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. Barbara.
Heather,
Hi.
Welcome to Rob's Inner Circle.
I should have typed that I was watching when you asked.
Hi. So you got your nephew there with your sister.
Yeah.
That's not my sister. That's my mom.
Yes. Come on. Yes.
Okay.
Hey,
awesome.
thanks for tuning in, Barbara.
Joke. I'm gonna do the joke. Why did the stinky cheese cross the road?
Why?
Why?
To get to the other side from Stinky.
Hey, that's cute. That's
Bye-bye.
really
Yeah.
cute.
You know what? The joke isn't that funny, but it's his stage presence. That's pretty
But
good.
you know what? He's a future comedian.
Yeah, he might be.
So Barbara, you're involved with Heather on her show. You're somewhat of a producer.
Oh yes, I'm her biggest fan and I'm her producer, but I don't charge her because
Okay. Wow, we
Oh, he's in trouble. He's in trouble now.
he's ready for the he's ready for the circus.
Sorry about that. I locked him out of the room.
Oh, poor boy, you locked him out.
Oh, he'll be all
Barbara,
right.
Barbara, we were saying, is there you have your other job, but one day is there any remote possibility that you may consider a career in radio or maybe even podcasting?
I don't think I'm good enough for that. I think I like to do it because it's fun and I just like to help Heather. And that's the exciting part. I don't think I can have a career in it because I don't think I would succeed.
So, Barbara, are you doing anything that's somewhat related to what's going on with the radio business?
Not
nothing
even close.
Oh no, I'm a probation officer in a juvenile hall. So nothing
Oh.
related.
Okay. Wow. So
Although I did spend the night there one time, so it's a little bit related.
oh, hang on a sec. What do you mean you spent the night there, Heather?
It was a little shoplifting incident when I was 17.
Oh my God! Wow, that goes back quite a while.
Yeah, it does.
So tell us, Barbara, what's the weather like in LA right now?
Well, where I live, it's in the 70s, but near my work, it was around 90 today.
Oh, geez, you guys
So
are
it's-
lucky. Well, we can't complain too much. The weather's not that bad here. 20 degrees. That sounds like the 70s.
Yeah,
Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
about the same. So it's not too bad.
So I've never been to LA, and it's a place I'd love to go. From my understanding, LA is like a bunch of boroughs regrouped. Is that it? Like you got Hollywood in there, then you got which other boroughs are well known that are part of Los Angeles?
Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, Beverly Hills.
That's good. Yeah. There's just more and more popping up all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say people always go to Disneyland when they travel here, the beaches.
Culver City,
Yeah,
Venice, the beach little area cities.
Malibu or Santa Monica, Venice. There's quite a few places to go if you come to town.
Heather,
Come, I'll show you around.
Heather, who are your favorite singers, artists?
Prince,
Okay.
Pink. I love Pink as far as pop
Okay.
goes. God, so many. Pink Floyd, obviously, Led Zeppelin, the classics, but Chicago, Air Supply, we know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about during the pre-interview.
Yeah.
And Barbara, well, we're at it. How about you? Who are your favorite artists?
I don't have a favorite, but I would say lately, because I heard that if you listen to 80s music, it relieves stress and anxiety. So when I'm in the car driving in traffic, I turn on 80s music and it actually helps.
So the traffic is really bad out in LA, isn't it?
Oh, it's bad. Oh, yeah.
And let's say if you want to get through a traffic jam, a typical traffic jam, what are we talking here? Are we talking what, maybe 2-3 hours stuck in there?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe more. It depends.
It depends where you're going. But let's say my car ride to get to work, that in the morning, it would take me 35 minutes. Getting back, it's like an hour and a half.
Oh.
So it's tripled just because of the traffic.
How about the bus system? You guys don't use the buses down there? The subway system? You have any subways?
We have trains, but they're not underground. They're
okay.
We have the train system and buses, but I haven't rode those in years.
But it's
I
not
get
like
it.
Montreal. Like the public transit is not great. It's
Oh,
a very
no.
it's a car city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I were to come to LA, let's say tomorrow morning, I wake up and my dream comes true, right? Which places do you both you girls recommend that we visit in LA besides where they have the Hollywood sign and all that?
The beaches, of course. Santa Monica, Venice, Manhattan Beach is my favorite.
Okay, and how about fancy restaurants? You know, guys, this is the time to plug the restaurants down there. If you have any friends, plug them.
Craig's, that's where all the celebrities hang out. You always see the paparazzi out there. There's always somebody. Larry David, I saw him the last time I was there, and I waved to him, and I thought, well, yeah, he's so rude. He didn't wave back, but it turns out he couldn't see me. He's got these
the Elton John glasses, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So Heather, what's in store for you? Like maybe in the future, sometime. I don't know. Let's say within the next 5 to 10 years. Besides radio, is there anything else you would like to do? Because sure, you don't want to do any emceeing or acting. Is there?
No.
Would you probably be enticed on being behind the scenes as a producer on a show?
No.
Not even?
No. My plan is I love radio, and I see myself retiring doing it.
Just like Too Tall on CHOM FM.
Yes, exactly.
Too Tall. Hey, you have any stories pertaining to Too Tall?
Oh, Too Tall's hilarious. Too Tall, for some reason, was very bothered by the fact that I remained single for a very long time. So one day he came into work and he brought me a book, like it was called Dating for Dummies.
Oh my God. You still have the book? Heather,
Somewhere,
you still
yeah.
have that book. Okay.
Yeah. He was the best. And then you know what? From one of my birthdays, he actually got Air Supply to send me a video message.
No way.
Yeah, he worked on it for weeks, and yeah, he's amazing.
So what did Jazz?
Yeah, we email each other.
What was your answer to Air Supply? I'm all out of love.
Yes.
No? Is that what you answered?
Yes.
So, and Too Tall, like I was saying, he's one of the guys who lasted 40 years on CHOM.
Yeah.
And I actually saw that farewell video, and I got a little emotional because, you know, like I said at the beginning, you get very attached to these radio announcers, right, Barbara? I'm sure you must have some radio announcers you love to hear. Of course, it's Heather. She's the first, but besides Heather, maybe Phyllis Conway does some radio. I don't know.
No? I like Ryan Seacrest in the mornings. But you know it's funny whenever I'm listening to radio in the car in the mornings with Oscar, my son.
Okay.
He's like, is that TT? Is that Heather? Is that TT Heather? This song? So I even have my 4-year-old.
I mean, if he requests it, you know.
Hey Heather, here we go. We have a question. I'm not sure. What about Trudeau? Maybe you know.
Okay. Well, Terry, you know, he's Terry's pal, so he's been in a couple of times. So I got to meet him a few times for the Christmas special on CHOM.
Well, what's it like? He came in. He wasn't prime minister back then.
The first time he wasn't, so it was very casual. The second time, it was a year later. And they had the dogs coming in first. And I remember, you know, I was playing with the dogs because I checked for whatever, bombs, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
And I was playing with the dog. And the guy, ma'am, please don't touch the dog. I was like, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
He's working. So they did that a few hours out. And then you know, Trudeau came in. And it was a very different experience because now he's prime minister. So.
What's it like being in the same room as the Prime Minister of Canada?
You know what? I just kept looking over. I mean, he didn't have much to do with me, honestly. Him and Terry go way back, and I was just sitting there like fangirling, just staring at him, like this is the Prime Minister. Like what? How did you know what's happening?
What'd you tell him? Hey, dude, you want to hang out? It's not the type of thing you'd want to say to the Prime Minister, right?
I spoke to him.
Heather, what's your advice that you would, okay, let's say Barbara wants to start radio tomorrow morning. She's not going to do it, but, let's say we're talking to Barbara. She wants to be a radio announcer. What's the advice you give to her? Because, let's take it that the person has no experience whatsoever in radio. That person wants to get into radio. How would you accompany that person through that journey? What would you have to say to them?
I would say, don't do it.
Oh,
No, I would say, no, I would don't. No, I would say if you really want to do it, you should, because that's what it's going to take. And it's going to take a lot of working for free and, a lot of working in places you don't want to live in. And it's just, it's a journey, and you have to be willing to make a lot of sacrifices to do it. But at the end of the day, you get to do what you love to do. And you're at work and you think, is this even a job? Like, I'm so grateful that I'm doing this. But there's sacrifices to be made for sure.
So what are your hobbies, Heather, besides radio and radio? What are your hobbies?
That's really. Yeah, well, with the job pre-COVID, it keeps you very busy. So you're doing a lot of charity work, which is great. You have that platform, and there's a lot of things. There's a lot of events. There's a lot of, socializing to do. So on my downtime, I want to sit on my couch and watch Netflix and not talk to anybody. Go to the gym, keep yourself healthy, whatever. It's nap.
So, Barbara, is there a moment that you're considering coming to Montreal, or have you already come to Montreal? I believe you probably did, right?
Yeah, I visited, and I've talked to Heather about when COVID calms down and the borders open, that maybe we can take a visit, because our mom lives in Montreal, and we have cousins and our uncle and aunt. So, or maybe I'll go to Victoria, but definitely a visit to Canada to bring Oscar to see family.
Yeah, Oscar, my nephew, says, I want to meet Canada.
Well, he's in for a treat because there's lots of nice things going on here, Oscar.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Heather, you get the closing comments. And by the way, after we close off the show, please stay behind the scenes, because we're going to have our meet and greet party. You're going to get to meet the producer and the podcast, the techie, who are great fans of yours, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Look at that. We have a comment from our producer. She finds a little boy adorable. Heather, what are your closing comments?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me. And I miss Montreal all the time. And I had no idea that anybody would even notice I was gone, honestly. So yeah, it's heartwarming. Thank you.
Heather, I'm telling you, and again, I did it last week with Ted and Kim, because they were in the show as well. I'm going to do the same thing I did to them to you, Heather, on behalf of myself and all the Montrealers who tuned into CHOM and followed you on Q92 and the Mix 96. Heather, thank you very much for having made our lives that much better when you were here.
You're going to make me cry, Robert.
Yeah, you did get some tissues. Now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I did, just in case.
Heather, thank you so much. We'll be seeing you in a couple of minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Barbara, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Bye-bye, Oscar.
Oscar, say bye. Bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it, folks. That was our guest tonight. That was Heather Backman, Montreal's radio sweetheart. She made such an incredible impression here in Montreal. She will be remembered forever. But you know what? The good thing about it is that you can tune in to 103.1 Jack Radio on the internet. That's 103.1. That's Jack1031.com. And you can hear Heather in the morning from 5:30 to 9. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for tuning in for what has been an amazing evening. And next week, same time, same place, same reason, we're going to be hosting comedian Paul Ash. Thank you, everybody. Good night. And until next time, ciao, Bella.